Welcome back to the Fireside Finance Podcast.
I'm your host, Garrett Ross, accompanied by
Bob Howard.
Today, we'll be talking a little bit about the role of operations, production methods, quality management, and some crisis management.
How fun.
How fun. So let's get right into it. So the role of operations is kind of central to any business. With operations, you have to kind of put everything around the business.
Operations, what keeps the business running.
So all these parts of the business kind of have to revolve around operations, like HR, finance, and marketing. So with HR, their job is to really find people to work, make sure everything's going smoothly, right?
You need the right people doing the right things.
Yeah, I agree. And so that's how HR revolves around operations, because they just need people to work. But finance and accounts has to make sure that everything's in check, all the taxes and stuff, and making sure just people are getting paid.
You got to look out for those nasty feds. They'll get you.
And then marketing, lastly, just helps give people the jobs. They gotta have people that want the product in order to, employ the people and whatever.
And another key role of operations is the production of goods and services, which is, the main point of any business. Resources are sometimes referred to as factors of production, and they can cover 4 areas: land, like where your business operates; labor, which is the people that operate your business; capital, which is the money you use to keep your business running; and entrepreneurship, which is the know-how and the tactics that you use to make your business great.
Yeah, and all these things kind of revolve around operations. And what's more important and getting more important today is the sustainability of operations and just businesses in general. And it reminds me of this thing that's happening in the UK with the Living Wage Foundation.
I heard about that.
Yeah, it's a UK pressure group that is pushing for the minimum wage in the UK to be increased above €750 an hour.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, it's really more about social sustainability, which is getting more and more important, and just to allow those people to live comfortable lives even if they're unskilled workers.
Yeah, well, it seems like it's getting more expensive to live every day. So a push for more wages, I can really understand how operations, you need that wages to keep your workers happy. That's part of its connection to HR.
Yeah, and there's also other forms of sustainability, like environmental, which is probably getting more important than the others as of today and lately with technology and environmental issues.
Yes, as the environment is in more danger, operations has to put more focus towards making sure that we better benefit the future.
Yep, I agree. And it's great to see that some of these UK businesses are agreeing to pay at least that minimum amount for people to live more comfortable lives.
It's very interesting.
All right, next up, we have some of the production methods that go into operations and some of the pros and cons of all these.
Yes, well, production methods can vary from business to business depending on how big the business is and what it produces, and there's a couple different ways to produce. One such example is mass production. That's probably what you think of when you think of a big company like Pepsi or an automobile company like Ford. They produce so much that they have machines that do basically all the work, and they can just pump those things out as much as they need. Another example of production is flow production, which is also sometimes called process production. That involves the continuous production of a single product. Like, for example, an oil rig producing oil 24 hours a day. Now, that's very intensive because obviously you're not going to have one person working 24 hours a day. So that usually includes a machine that can just keep running, but you have to make sure it's up to date and not breaking down or anything, because that can really halt your production.
Yeah, it's a big challenge doing that continuous type of stuff, and it really just depends on the business what type of production is needed. And some businesses use more than one method just to fit whatever they need to do.
And some productions are more specialized, like batch production, where you produce items in identical groups. But the thing about batch production is you can make small changes to those groups to add more variety and make your product more suited towards whoever's buying.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, all the options that businesses have for their ways of operation, ways of production to get people the products they need and be more effective at it, tying back to that kind of sustainability thing.
And as Garrett Ross said, that many businesses use multiple means of production, and new methods of production are being updated every day as our businesses change, such as cell production, which is becoming more popular, where businesses work in teams and take joint responsibility for a large section of the manufacturing process. And these teams have a lot of control over that product, but because of that, they can also take a lot of pride in the mastery of their work, and they can ensure that they produce things the way they want to.
That cell production part is really effective, but it's also good for the companies trying to improve their product, because these small cell groups, they get together and they really work as a team and can individually assess things. And that kind of leads us into our next topic of quality management. Quality management is just the improvement of goods and services, whether or not a company is putting out a good or a service. And there's just like many methods of quality management that can just go to improve products overall and the company's operations overall.
Well, I know I sure wouldn't want to buy a broken toothbrush, so I appreciate that.
And now I would like to give a mention to the sponsor of this Fireside Finance podcast. Today's sponsor is Freddy Fazbear's Firewood. From fresh fir trees, Freddy's Farmland Firewood frees friends and families from freezing temperatures for just $4.44 a pound. Freddy Fazbear's Firewood is frightfully fantastic. Quality management also looks, while they're trying to improve the product, they're also trying to reduce waste and be more effective as a company. And that gets into some of these business acronyms like Tim Wood.
I have a good friend named Tim Wood.
How's he?
He's doing fine. I believe he works in the finance sector.
Oh, that's great. But the Tim Wood acronym stands for Transportation, Inventory, Motion, Waiting, Overprocessing, Overproduction, and Defects. These are just all some things that companies can work on and trying to reduce to make their company more environmentally friendly and effective. And
well, it's a delicate balance, because you want to, of course, make your product as efficiently as possible, but you also don't want to give out a bad product, because that can be bad for your company's brand and that can be bad for the customers.
Of course. And an important thing in quality management is these kind of quality circles where everyone has a say and the product is evaluated through the steps of operations instead of just at the end, or not at all in some cases.
Well, quality management can vary between companies just as production might. Different companies see it fit to serve different types of qualities, and they see it fit to address different important parts of the production process. Some companies might want dedicated quality controllers, while some companies might say, everybody, all of our workers can check it along the way, and that way, either way, whatever works best for the company, they can ensure the product is right.
Yeah, and it gives the employees a sense of responsibility and such, and that too.
Yes, it's good to let the employees who might know the product best get a good look at the product and make sure that nothing has gone wrong along the way.
Yeah, quality management's just very important in progressing with these products and just making companies stay in the loop and stay up with the competition.
And staying in the loop can bring us to our next topic of crisis management and contingency planning. You sure need to stay in the loop and stay up to date with your crisis management. You do not want to fall behind when you might need it the most. Contingency planning ensures that immediate actions take place when a crisis may start, that there is no confusion, and that everybody has a plan and can communicate. That communication is also very important for crisis management. The company needs to be transparent with both its employees and, depending on how large the company is, the media as well, so everybody can stay in the loop.
Yeah, no one really wants to have crises, but it's just everyone needs to be prepared, and as long as you have these plans, and while making these plans and doing these fire drills or whatever it might be takes time and money, it's still worth it for the company to be able to get back on track in time.
Well, I can see that, but it sure doesn't feel worth it when I am stuck in a room with 60 other students.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a struggle sometimes when these crises happen very.
But it's important that we take these things seriously, because that's when they are the most effective, because you never know when you may need them.
And it's also not just about crises when they're happening. It's about getting back on track as a business and getting back to being 100% effective. And it makes me think of this AirAsia flight that crashed into the Java Sea in 2015. It kind of rocked the company and set them off track for a while, but because the owner held a bunch of meetings and was very transparent and communicated with the press and the people and the employees, they were able to help the victims' families and just get back on track as soon as they could, even though it was a pretty bad tragedy.
Well, that's very important to recognize that as terrible a crisis may be, it's important to recognize that your employees and their families are entitled, they're people too. So transparency is key in helping those families and helping the media and everybody to understand what's gone on and how you are handling the situation. And how you handle the situation can vary as well. Sometimes it's necessary to take a more authoritarian approach to your leadership in these times of management, just to ensure that decisions are made quickly. That may not necessarily be an overreach, telling your employees to do things they don't want to do. It could just be saying, hey, everybody, if we just listen to our manager because she or he knows exactly what we need to do, then I think we can get out of this safely.
Yeah, time is a big factor, and the quicker we can make decisions and get back on track, the better. And it might save more lives, too, in the event of a crisis.
Well, speaking of time, I believe we've used a lot of our time here at the Fireside Chat.
This is concluding our Fireside Chat about finance and business. I'm going to thank my co-host, Bobby Howard.
Oh, well, thank you too, Garrett Ross.
It was a pleasure. Have a good day.
Stay warm.
Stay warm.